Good night, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. And tonight we're going to talk about layering systems, staying warm for winter because it's a cold winter out there. Be right back with you. Welcome back. So I've got several layering systems I want to talk to you about. What I prefer when it comes to staying warm in the outdoors. I prefer a layering system than just wearing a straight jacket over a shirt or over a t-shirt. This past week it's been around -8 degrees Celsius here, -11 up in the mountains or even colder. And so I want to show you this first system, which is a bit more old school. And then we're going to work our way into some more modern stuff that I have on hand and to give you an idea. So first of all, if you are going to set out on something, make sure you check the weather and be prepared for colder weather. That means that you may have to pack a little bit heavier when it comes to your gear. This past weekend, just a quick story, I wore a t-shirt like it's right here with a wool shirt over it, and then I had an outer insulated jacket over that. In my bag, I had another insulated jacket and a vest just in case. And it turned out I didn't need it because it was so much humidity in the air that I got completely wet, damp, and was starting to get cold on stops. So as we were moving, I stayed decently warm, but you don't want to overheat either. So I was just at that limit. I checked it in pretty well. So at the halfway, once we got to the top of the mountain that we were at, before I came down, I stripped out of the wet jacket and put on another insulated jacket on the outside. And yeah, then I worked my way down with that, and I was perfectly fine. Okay. But one thing I like about it is that the materials I chose, they dry very quickly. But we'll talk more about that right here. So what you see here, we're going to start from the outside and work our way in. What you see here is a 3-layer system, basically. You can go more depending on the weather, but be careful. If you're moving, you want to dress down. Back in the Army days, what we would do is before we took off on a hike, we'd wear just a t-shirt and a BDU top. And then once we stopped somewhere, we'd quickly strip out the BDU top, throw on a polypropylene shirt, or base an extra layer in there, and then we throw a Gore-Tex jacket on to sort of hold in some of that heat. When I look at layering systems, each layer needs to be active where it works to get the humidity away from your body, transpiration away from your body, humidity away from your body, the wetness. And so one thing I suggest you never do, and that's wear cotton t-shirt, cotton underwear, cotton socks. And so, because we have a saying that cotton kills, we always use in the Army. So what I usually wear is something like a synthetic or a wool, smart wool merino t-shirt. I wear mostly synthetic ones. I find them much more comfortable for me. And I tend to overheat with too many layers of wool with a wool t-shirt. I just don't like the way they fit necessarily, a little bit too tight for me, I would say. And they're very expensive. These right here, these Under Armour shirts right here work really well. So I put them against my body. And then above that, I'll put a next level. So on the outside here, we have I've forgotten the name. We have a jacket here on the outside, and this is a very old school. And this is cotton, but it's a really tightly woven cotton called, and I've completely forgotten the name of it. Ventil. It's a Ventil smock. This was made by a company called SASS, and it's a very tightly woven, light cotton material that as it gets damp, it expands. Okay. And it really cuts. It's more like it's a windproof mostly, but I've worn it with this system right here, and even if it's gotten damp, what it does, it's actually there's no dampness has gotten in between, and so this first outer layer is a filter, and it's more of a working jacket. So what I do is I'll tend to fill the pockets up, and this is here is It's not going to be a completely rainproof jacket, but in the cold of the wintertime, you're less worried about rain as you are snow and other things like in wind. Wind is one of the biggest problems. So this out here really protects you from that. Now, if you're walking around on the ground, of course, you're going to get wet, but this out here is a really good item. And it's a very old school product and sought after, really well sought after, and very expensive. You'll find these out here just as expensive Gore-Tex jackets. But they work much more active than Gore-Tex. You're not nearly as hot in it as you are Gore-Tex. And so I tend to not wear Gore-Tex jackets so often in the wintertime as an outer layer. I do carry a Gore-Tex jacket with me often in the wintertime, but you'll hardly ever see me wearing it as an outer level. But this right here is a Ventil smock. It's got plenty of pockets on it. And this right here is a Velcro front. And it has a zipper on the front of it. Now underneath right here, you'll see this next layer underneath of it. This is an Ulmfrotte wool, merino wool sweater. Okay, it's a full zip one. And this is the heavier, I think it's the 400 gram or whatever it is level. It's the heavier level. So this is what's going to be, what's under it. And as you'll see, let's strip it down. It's a full sweater, and inside of it you have longer arms with cuffs, and you have thumb holes in the cuffs right here. So you can put this goes over half your hand right here, which is a big help. Okay, so I'll wear this right here, and it's a little heavier. It takes a little more room in your bag, but you know what? You can take this off when you're moving and just wear the Velcro, the Ventil smock against the bottom layer, which this right here happens to be the next layer down. This is only a 3-layer, and you can go 4 layers with a t-shirt like this right here underneath the next level. It depends on how you want to wear it. Usually I will wear a t-shirt underneath the next level. Anyway, this is a merino wool, and you can wear this or any other wool if you like. I like wool a lot because wool, for me, even when it's wet, it tends to hold on to the heat. And it may take longer to dry, but it holds on to that heat much better. And all you got to do is get inside your sleeping bag, and that will help dry out that. But anyway, that pushes the humidity away from your body up to every level till it gets to the Piltro, the Ventil smock, which you'll see quite often in some of these jackets. You'll see them on the outside or the inside layer or the outside. If it's very cold, you'll see this ice forming. What that is that humidity being pushed to the outside, and that will freeze on the outside. So that's actually not too bad. Anyway, so we zip this down. You'll see I have an Under Armour, long sleeve Under Armour shirt right here. Now I have one of these right here I have several types of shirts you can wear. This right here. This right here is a long sleeve one. So I'd wear this right here in the place of a short sleeve t-shirt. And so this is a 3-layer system right here, which does really well for active use if you're more active. Okay. Now what I will throw inside my backpack is a few other items to sort of augment this right here, especially if I'm stopped, and I'll show you that in just a second right here. I want to talk to you about a few other things. So this system right here, it's got a zipper on it, pops off right here, and then we have the long sleeve Under Armour t-shirt under this right here, and this is what I'm wearing against my skin right here if I'm not wearing a short sleeve Under Armour shirt. On top of it, you'll see right here, this is a merino wool stocking hat. This happens to be a surplus military one from the Dutch Army right here. Very, very good. Works very well. I have other suggestions. I have a merino wool hat here in tan right here. It's a more natural color, I would guess. And then a wool watch cap right here. This one actually has come from Kandersteg International Scout Camp, which there it gets so cold in the wintertime, but it's a really nice little stocking hat right here. And you can wear these right here in conjunction with the hood that's on the Ventil smock. Okay, so this is a very basic, active bushcrafter, hiking, camping type thing right here. You can wear this right here easily in cold weather. Like I said, if you stop, you can throw the wool on underneath of the Ventil smock, so you have a bit more wind protection. You can have the insulation, and then right here, and you can stack up other layers below this also, and I'll show you more of those. Before we get into the next item on this list, I want to show you, talk to you about gloves real quick. I'll often wear leather gloves in the outdoors when I'm outdoors and that kind of stuff. But the problem with that is that when they get wet, if you don't have a liner built into them, I do have some lined leather gloves. They work really well around the campfires, kind of like that, but and for working around. But when they get wet, they will tend to get cold. So I do have some wool gloves here. I have several types of wool gloves. This is the Army, U.S. Army issue wool gloves, I believe they are, and they fit fantastic. These are here you can wear on your hands, and you can slide these into a pair of wool gloves if you want to, to a leather glove, a shell. You know, it's right here if you want to. What I also like, and I use quite often, are the polypropylene liner gloves. Those are fantastic just by themselves even, but if you have some wind, that will cut right through them. Something else I have right here are these Arc'teryx winter gloves right here. These things right here are super warm, super comfortable. They're almost too warm. They're a little bit stiff, the leather is, but you know what? They do work pretty well. I have done some hikes with them, and they get almost too warm during the hike, so I'll switch over to the wool gloves with my hiking sticks and kind of stuff. But they're very, very good. I've had these for a number of years. They're completely Gore-Tex, completely water resistant, I would say. I won't say waterproof, but they have a leather palm. They're quite resistant, and they're very, very comfortable. Very, very comfortable gloves right here. I wish we had these when I was in the Army. I really do. You know, these are really nice gloves right here. But yeah, I have a pair of these right here. These aren't for free. These are quite expensive for gloves. But if you can get I would suggest, I mean, I have never used them, but I've seen them. They look pretty interesting. The U.S. Army issue Gore-Tex glove system that they have. Get something like that. I mean, those work really well. Get you a layering system for that there. But a good pair of gloves, you know, wool and something Gore-Tex right here, or wool with something to go over it. That works well. These combat gloves, these mechanics, this kind of stuff, they don't work too well. Now, there are some gloves that are heated, or some gloves that have like poly, they're made out of a waterproof material, like almost like scuba diving material. The problem with that is that your hands will get so warm in them and that they'll start sweating and they don't breathe. So that's a problem that I have with them, because my hands are very, very warm. I get very warm very quickly. So think about gloves is very, very important, along with the hat. Okay. Now what we have here set up is the U.S. Army issue, the old school, the foliage green soft shell wind shirt. Basically, it does have some property for some rain, weather resistant, I would say, but it's quite lightweight. I do like this right here. You can wear it just like over your t-shirt while you're moving around. While you're hiking, this kind of stuff, and then when you stop, you can throw something on underneath of it that's warmer. This is actually not a bad system right here. Now, if we're getting into those -11, -8, -11 conditions in Celsius, which is, you got to remember is that that's close to freezing, then you will find that for movement, and this is what we're talking about. We're talking more about movement. We're not talking about static stuff. This works really, really well for that. It's a really good. Now, underneath right here, this is a zipper front, waterproof zipper. And then I have two of these. I have one also in multicam. But I tend to wear this one right here more often when I'm wearing it. And it's a good mid-season also. Now, in the summertime, I don't wear it because if it does start pissing down raining, I prefer to have something that's a better shield to resist heavy rain. Or what I'll do is I'll just get underneath some trees, that kind of stuff, and sort of avoid that. But I do like about it is that you have this ventilation system built into the pockets here, which allows it to breathe. Okay, the mesh liner, and it works pretty well. It has a hood built into it also. Now, underneath right here, what I have is an old school Patagonia vest. This is not a long sleeve shirt, it's a vest. Like I said, this is for if you're, let's say you start off hiking and it's quite cold out, you can throw this on, and then you can sort of keep it on. Now, also underneath it, I still have the long sleeve shirt underneath it right here that you saw before. This is a liner. This is an insulated liner. I've had this thing right here for so many years, and I replaced it where I'd gotten myself another Patagonia lightweight vest with a full zip, but it went missing. I don't know what's happened to it. I wish I could find it because I really liked it a lot. But those suckers are $200. So here, I don't know how much I paid for it, but I've had it the longest. And it's a 3/4 zip. Works really well. It's got a chest pocket on it right here also. But it's a really good idea a vest system. I like a lightweight vest. Now I don't like the fleece liners, the fleece vests, kind of like that. I find them a little bit too heavy or too bulky. So here it's not that whatsoever, and it really holds on to the warmth of my core warmth. Now I have the long sleeve, like I said here, and then I have the jacket. So this is another system that I have, that I use out about hiking, this kind of stuff. More modern, I would say. But still, there's some resemblance of surplus in here. You have the Under Armour long sleeve shirt or any kind of long sleeve t-shirt you can have that's synthetic. And then I have a synthetic base layer here. Then I have the outer layer there also. So back to it. This is what I actually brought with me as a backup the other day on my hiking trip. Very lightweight. They call them a sweater. This is also Patagonia. I got it it's a very packable. It gets down to a very small size. Comes with a little small bag, which I never bring around with me. I tend to just stuff it inside my backpack the way it is so I can pull it out very easily. I don't like compressing it too much or anything like that. But what it does, it adds, it's that added layer, especially if you're moving around. Now you can, of course, use this as an under insulated sweater. You can throw on that jacket I had before over this right here if you're static. But if you're static in the same spot for a long time, this thing right here is not the warmest thing in the world, but it does a really good job. This kind of stuff sort of takes the place of a lot of wool sweaters we used to wear back in the day. But like I said, I use this right here as the backup the other day because the jacket that I was wearing was starting to get damp from the humidity in the air, actually. And then that, along with the wind, I was getting cold because as we stopped or moved, whatever, you know. So, but this right here does a great job. I love this. I wish I had this in the Army. I would have worn this right here all the time under my BDU jacket. It definitely would have kept me a lot warmer than the stuff the Army gave us. It's a 3/4 zip also. Has a chest pocket also. It's sort of set up the same way as this vest I have here. I have it layered here. This is quite often how I will wear them. Although the other day I just kept this one inside my sleeping bag, inside my backpack, because I didn't want to overheat either. That's the last thing I wanted to do, is overheat and start sweating from the inside. I had enough dampness on the outside, and everything was working well. Now, what I did have on was a wool, long sleeve wool shirt, and over a t-shirt like this right here, and then I had this on, and that was a buttoned-up shirt. You know, it's a merino wool shirt that I wear. I have a couple of them. And this was a very light one, very, very lightweight wool. If you find yourself the old World War II wool, brown wool shirts, the real wool, and not the cotton, what you see more modern. I never remember the name of them. It's a cotton blend that looks like wool, but it's actually fake wool. The problem with those is that they look good. They're cheaper, less expensive, but they are not very good at keeping your body warm. So I tend to go with more natural stuff when it comes to that, but I do have some synthetic stuff. This is a filled down. It's more like a poncho liner, I would say, in some aspects, the way it's filled and the weight of it, but it works really, really well. So I like this right here. This is another one of my systems right here. And like I said, I can layer this up. I could easily throw my Vental smock over this right here, or another level over this right here. That's something else you got to think about when you get your jackets. Make sure you oversize, a size up, something like that, because you might need to layer those systems in, especially if you go static. Once you go static around a fixed location, you're not moving nearly as much, you're going to want to beef up your layering system. So anyway, this is part of my hiking system.